All right, today we're jumping into one of the most, intense verses in the entire Bible. It's just a single sentence from the book of Revelation, but it has shaped views of final judgment for centuries. It's a statement of absolute finality, and in this explainer, we're going to break down one really influential way to understand what it means. And there it is, Revelation 20, verse 15. The language is stark. The imagery is powerful. And right away, it makes you ask some pretty huge questions about, a final judgment, this mysterious book, and a lake of fire. So, what is this warning really about? Well, the interpretation we're exploring today suggests that this isn't just about some event way off in the future. It's actually talking about a spiritual reality that's happening right now. And to get our heads around that, we need to unpack the two big ideas in this verse, the book of life and the lake of fire. Okay, first up, the book of life. Now, when you hear that, it's easy to picture this giant physical ledger up in the sky, right? But the view we're looking at sees it totally differently, not as a literal book, but as a metaphor for a spiritual state of being. What's really cool is when you look at the original Greek, the word for life here is zoe. And this isn't just talking about, being alive, your heart beating. It refers to a very specific quality of life, a spiritual, divine kind of life that comes from being connected to God. So if we follow that idea, the book of life becomes this really powerful metaphor. It's meant to represent a person's spiritual union with Jesus. In this view, it's not some list you get on by being a good person, but it's a state you enter into through faith in his sacrifice. So what does that actually look like? Well, the idea is that to be written in this book means you're sealed by grace. It's not something you earn with your good deeds. It's all based on trusting what's already been done for you. It completely reframes salvation as something you receive, not something you achieve.
And hey, this isn't just a one-off idea in Revelation. The Apostle Paul actually talks about it in his letter to the Philippians. This shows that the concept of having your name in the book of life was a known reality for those early believers. It was a sign of belonging, of security.
All right, so that's the book of life. Now let's tackle the second half of that verse, the lake of fire. This interpretation connects that intense image to another phrase that pops up in Revelation, the second death. So, what in the world is that? Okay, this is a really critical distinction. We've got the first death, which is physical, the separation of our soul from our body. Everybody experiences that. But the second death, as it's presented here, is something else entirely. It's a final, eternal, spiritual separation from God. From this perspective, then, the lake of fire isn't so much a place of active physical torment. It's the ultimate consequence of being cut off from the source of all life, all light, all truth. It's a state defined by the total absence of God's presence.
And the logic here is that this final outcome isn't really decided by how many sins a person has racked up. Instead, it's about rejecting what this theology says is the one and only cure for that spiritual death, the atonement offered by Jesus.
So you see what's happening? We have these two totally opposite concepts. Being in union with God, that's the book of life, and being separated from God, that's the second death. The argument we're exploring is that these are the two possible outcomes of a single, really fundamental choice. This table kind of lays it all out pretty clearly. These two spiritual states are shown as completely separate. On one side, if you're in Christ, your name is considered to be in the book of life, and you possess that Zoe life right now. On the other side, being outside Christ means you're not in the book, and it's even equated with a state of being condemned already, quoting from the Gospel of John. And really what this all points to is the cross as this huge, decisive moment. It frames the ultimate question not as, are you a good person or a bad person, but as a simple, binary choice. Do you accept the life being offered or not? The conclusion drawn is that it's Jesus or nothing.
And this brings us to what might just be the most crucial takeaway from this whole interpretation. The idea is that Revelation 20:15 isn't just some prophecy about the distant future. No, it's a declaration about a spiritual reality that exists in the present.
This comparison on the slide just nails the difference. A common view looks at this verse and sees a single event at the end of time. But this interpretation argues that the judgment is the spiritual state you're in today, that your connection or lack of connection to God right now is what has eternal consequences. So let's just quickly recap the main points of this viewpoint. The book of life equals a union with Jesus right now. Not being found in it means a rejection of Christ right now. And the lake of fire, that's the eternal outcome of that rejection. So the judgment, in this view, is really just a reflection of the spiritual state you're living in today.
So, to wrap it all up, we've walked through an interpretation that reframes one of the Bible's most intense verses. It shifts it from being a distant threat to a description of two realities that are available to us in the present. And the ultimate question this viewpoint leaves us with is a really personal one. Which of these two present realities is defining your life today? It's a profound thought to end on. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.